I don't even know who this woman is. I have no idea who she is, where she came from. This is another scam. It's a political witch hunt.
Donald Trump last night referring to this woman, the former advice columnist E Jean Carroll, who he may claim not to know, but who yesterday successfully proved that Trump sexually abused her in a department store in Manhattan in the mid-90s, and then defamed her by denying the incident ever occurred and calling her allegations a con job.
I feel fantastic. Yesterday was probably the happiest day of my life.
That's how Carroll today described the moment the verdict was read aloud. Trump did not rape her, the jury found, but he had sexually assaulted her.
It was this 5'3", wily female attorney and this elderly 79-year-old advice columnist who are finally holding Donald Trump liable.
Carroll first came forward with her bombshell in 2019 in the wake of the Me Too movement when Donald Trump was then president.
The minute I was in there, he shut the door and pushed me up against the wall and bang, banged my head on the wall and kissed me. It was so shocking.
Trump then proceeded to force himself upon her, she alleged, until she eventually broke free. But she stayed silent at the advice of friends. He was a powerful man who could destroy her reputation, which he subsequently tried to do.
So it's a total false accusation, and I don't know anything about her. And she's made this charge against others.
But then, last November, Carroll finally decided to head to the courts after a special law in New York allowed her to file her civil case nearly 30 years on. During the trial, jurors were played the infamous Access Hollywood tape in which Trump was caught casually bragging about assaulting women.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the you can do anything.
The aim was to establish that this type of behaviour was the norm for the brash billionaire, and the jury seemingly agreed, ironically helped by Trump's own taped deposition, in which at one point, having denied he ever met Carroll, he was shown a photograph of them together in the late 80s.
That's Marla, yeah, that's my wife.
But astonishingly, he then mistakes Carroll for his former wife.
Oh,
The person you just pointed to was E Jean Carroll.
Who is that? Who is this?
Remember, this is a civil case, so the burden of proof is much lower than it would have been in a criminal trial. Jurors only had to agree that it was more likely than not that Trump had assaulted Miss Carroll. A fact not lost on those rare Republicans who are desperate for Trump not to win the party's nomination to stand for president in 2024.
I hope the jury of the American people reach the same conclusion about Donald Trump. He just is not suited to be president of the United States.
But despite the lurid headlines, the reality is Trump's devoted followers will never turn against him, and he's by far the favourite to win the nomination.
Donald Trump, go for it. We love you. You're going to win.
Yeah, ever since Donald Trump came down the escalator, put his name in the hat, he's been attacked.
I believe anything that's said about him that he has done that he shouldn't have done, or that he denies he's done and people saying he's done it, I believe he's done it.
But the question for Trump and the Republican Party is, can Teflon Don ever win again on the national stage? With other more serious cases pending over January the 6th's top secret documents in Mar-a-Lago, not to mention alleged payments to an adult film star. This latest edition of sexual abuser to the tongue twister of titles for the twice impeached, one-term criminally charged former president might, just might, put an end to his White House ambitions for good.
Well, I'm joined now by Republican political advisor Mark McKinnon. Mark McKinnon, thanks very much for joining us. In the old days, a former president being found guilty of being a sexual abuser might be enough to rule him out of attempting another run. Do you think this does that?
Oh, in the past, it certainly would have, but this just shows how much times have changed. And Donald Trump famously said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and still be elected president. And now now his proposition is that he can assault anybody in a department store and still be elected. I mean, we know the question is this case going to make that much difference? And I don't think it will, because in your report, you talked about the Access Hollywood tapes, where he talked about doing exactly what was proved in court and said that he did it, said that he's entitled to do it because he's famous. So it should come as no surprise to anybody that the courts have now found and proved by a jury of his peers that he did, in fact, assault women. So that is not new news for people, and certainly not new news for his reporter. A poll came out this last week, which is pretty astonishing, in which 20%, 1 in 5 of Trump supporters said that they believe he should be held criminally liable for trying to overturn the 2020 election. And those 20% of those supporters who believe that said they would still vote for him. So they think he's criminally liable, and they'll still vote for him for president. So that just shows the depth of the support. Now, I also think that he's now been found liable in this case. He's been twice impeached. He lost not only the presidency, but the House and the Senate for the first time in 100 years, since Grover Cleveland lost all three nearly a century ago. So you stack all that up, and if we get to next summer and it's then 4 indictments, which I think is not only possible but probable, what's going to happen is people are going to start to look around and say he can't win. And as soon as he gets branded a loser, then you could see the support flee.
Because it's interesting, isn't it? He has been branded a sexual abuser in a court, and yet other Republicans at the moment have on the whole been pretty silent about it. So are you suggesting that no one dare come out in case he still remains their best chance?
Absolutely. I mean, not only they've been silent about it, but they've either been silent or they've supported him by saying, "Oh, that's ridiculous. It's a stacked jury. It's not fair. It's just a political attack." So they either know that it happened and don't care, or they think it's a made-up political attack. So in terms of his base of support, I don't think that this particular case will do much damage.
I mean, briefly, if you would, as you rightly pointed out already, he won the last election on the back of that tape where he was broadly suggesting he could grab women wherever he wanted to. Republicans need women this time, though, don't they? How will this play for them, do you think?
Not well. And I mean, not only that, but we have, the abortion issue has been elevated in the United States as a very front and center issue, and Republicans have taken very extreme positions on it. And Trump himself just acknowledged taking a very extreme federal ban position on abortion just this week. And Republicans clearly, in order to win the presidency again and or the popular vote, need to expand the coalition, including and especially women. And this kind of case and their positions on issues like abortion are not helpful.
And just finally, today another controversial character, Congressman George Santos, has been arrested on federal charges of fraud, money laundering. He is denying the charges. Does this matter to Republicans at the moment, or will they make a judgment? Let's see how that goes.
This guy has been a huge headache and a distraction for Republicans, no question about it. And the only people that want him still in Congress are really Democrats, because he's been such a great foil for Democrats, because this guy is such a loser and such a fraud. Everybody knows it. They just haven't, the Republican leadership has been unable to move decisively without some sort of investigative lever being pulled, and that's now happened. So the leadership and whatever support he had is going to evaporate immediately, and they're going to be happy to get rid of him.
Mark McKinnon, thanks very much for talking to us today.